This is the brand new Mirage Junior from Crazy Tube Circuits, a very capable studio-grade reverb pedal. I'm going to show you a couple of examples now in the beginning, then we are taking a deep dive into this pedal. So what we have here is a smaller footprint mono version of this very pedal that Crazy Tube Circuits released a while back. If you are not sure whether to get the big one or the small one, I have a section for that later in this video. We are going to compare them. The idea with the pedal is to have a bunch of different great sounding studio grade reverbs in a pedal. Like for me, even though I have a studio, what I really want to compare it against when it comes to like the studio grade thing is plugins, really, because I don't have a reverb chamber in my studio. Most of us, we don't have that. There are some great reverb plugins that most of us use. I also really like the reverbs in my Kemper, so that's sort of my reference point when it comes to a studio grade reverb. Feature wise, we have a volume. Easy, that's volume. You have the ability to boost your signal. Unity is around this area, I would say. Mix is of course mix. When you have it on full in normal mode, it is about a 50-50 wet dry mix. You also can turn off the dry with an internal dip switch. You also should set the pedal to true bypass if you want to do so. In the demo, I'm keeping the pedal in like the normal way it is set when you get it. So I'm doing the 50-50 mix when I'm at full. I'm also going to show you how it is in full wet later in the video. And in total, you have 16 different algorithms in 2 different banks. When this switch is up, you have the normal vintage sounding reverbs, 8 of them. And you switch by using this rotary switch. When you push it down, you have more ambient and experimental sounding reverbs. And we are starting in the up position, by the way, afterwards. The swell and excite knobs will be a bit different depending on what algorithm you are on. But this knob is mostly decay and space of the reverb. And this is like mostly brightness, I would say. But they can differ, and I will tell you what they do on the different algorithms when we go through them all. And this switch is working together with the XF momentary switch right here. So if you push it down, you are controlling this knob, and if you have it like this, you are controlling this knob. So let's say we have it like this, we are controlling this one. So when you are pressing and holding, you are ramping that all the way up. When you release it, it goes back down to your setting. You can also control it with an expression pedal if you want to do so. And as I said, you can set it to true bypass if you want to do so, and you can kill the dry signal on the inside of the pedal. For all of the mono sounds coming up, I'm using my Shotmaker, the Songstress amp. For the stereo setup later, I will use a different setup. This is the clean sound. And I just want to mention that with the room setting, I often turn down the mix and the decay to give my sound a bit of room sound if it sounds like too close mic'd, for example. So either with an amp or with my Kemper or with a plugin. Beautiful spring reverb, and then you have springier, which is even more of that, and that's the next one. Okay, so let's start my thoughts on this pedal. And the first thing that I want to cover, should you get the Junior or the like big stereo unit? Well, that depends. Going back 10 years, for me, I would go for the Junior. I never did any stereo thing in my studio or live. If I were to play live now, I would still use the Junior because I would never do any sort of stereo rig live. That's not me. I would never do that. Like practically, I would never do that. I just want to have a simple mono setup when I play live. But in the studio now, I definitely prefer to have the option to do the stereo thing. That's what I often do with my Kemper, and it sounds bigger and it sounds more badass. So yeah, it depends on what you want to do. If you do the studio stuff, you want to record guitars, ambient guitars in stereo, you're doing keyboards, you want to use this with a lot of other things, not just guitars, go for the big option. Definitely go for the big option. But if you are doing mostly mono and you are playing live in mono, save some money and go for the new Junior version. This one is 219 euros versus 325 euros for the stereo version. So yeah. As for any comments or negative things on this pedal, I can notice a pop when I use it in true bypass mode. Not sure why. And that was actually when I was sending the Mirage Junior to another pedal, but this is going straight into the amp, but still in true bypass mode. And there's no pop, so I'm not sure what is happening there. When you have it in buffered bypass, it's not happening either with going straight into the amp or into any other pedals. So yeah, not a big thing, but worth noticing. They do hold up against the plugins that I use, and I would say most importantly to me, they hold up against the reverbs in my Kemper. Some of my Kemper reverbs sounds different, but I wouldn't say that they are better necessarily. So you definitely get the same grade of reverb in these two pedals. And I would say again that you get the most out of it when you do stereo, like with the big one. It sounds bigger and just more badass when you use it in stereo. But yeah, it holds up to my like standard. Again, I don't have freaking reverb rooms or chambers or plate reverbs. I'm comparing them to plugins mostly. So it sounds fantastic. Some of the algorithms are similar, but when you are really like listening in, they are different enough that I understand why they are in the pedal. I find the pedal really easy to use, even though I am demonstrating gear for a living, more or less. I just find secondary controls and secondary parameters a bit confusing to use. I want to turn knobs and I want to see and I want to hear the difference when I turn those knobs. I think you will need to have the manual in front of you to fully understand these two knobs, even though they are like mostly doing the same thing, and to just remember what algorithm you are on, at least in the beginning when you are getting to know the pedal. I think this one is really nice to use, the XF momentary switch. Very musical to use. You sort of ride it as an instrument together with your guitar or whatever you want to use. I mostly use it on this one where I'm able to control the decay and make the decay longer. And when it sort of takes over your sound, you release it and then it goes back down to where it's not that obvious. Yeah. And before we end it, often when I get a pedal like this where you have the experimental and ambient options, I sort of go all in on that in the beginning, but I would say that the natural vintage sounding reverbs on this pedal are just as good as the big, massive reverbs. And especially the room one it's very simple, but just great. A great utility thing to have in your setup. And the spring and the springer settings, they are just among the best spring reverbs that I've heard in a digital pedal like this. I hope that can help you decide whether you want to get this pedal or not, or if you want to get the junior mono versus the stereo version of the Mirage. Great pedal. I don't have a reverb pedal at the moment, which is embarrassing. But now of course, I have these two, and you can use them for a lot of different things. Simple reverb or the big massive ones in stereo, if you want to do that. Okay, thank you for watching and goodbye.